Many of my followers of the YouTube channel are from India, from Bangladesh, and some of the European countries. So I thought that this topic is so important that I should just talk in English so that the message should go across to a wider group of people. I'm going to talk about a new book which I was very eagerly waiting, and I received it only a few days back. And then I went through that book and I thought that it is very important. I should share my reviews about that book. And the name of that book is Nexus, Nexus, written by Yuval Noah Harari. As you know, Yuval Noah Harari is a historian and one of a very genius person of our times. And his book, which actually, as he says himself, he wrote it for history students of his university, the Homo sapien, that became a kind of a bestseller. And people read that book all around the world, and they understood the history of mankind in a very, very different perspective. And then he wrote another book, which was Homo Deus, which means the human beings of the future, where he extrapolated the history. And according to him, history is not just a knowledge of the past. History is actually the way society develops and how the whole world develops in relation to the living creatures inhabited in that environment. So that book was also very famous. Then he wrote another book, which was 21 Lessons of 21st Century. And now he advertised this book and he talked about this book for some time, and it was available in Pakistan. And as soon as it was available in Pakistan, I had an opportunity to go through that book, which is Nexus. And in this video, I would just like to, in fact, I want that you should read this book yourself. But I know in this era where everyone is in hurry, and also the love for the books has decreased, and people, they have lost that temperament and they have lost that flavor of going through the book and reading the book, on a paper form. So I thought that in this video, video may become a little longer, but I would like to just share what is there in this book. Who want to keep an eye, and they want to understand the relatedness between the modern development of tech, not only as one of the member of the society, but as an individual as well. For them, this video will be adding some value in their thought process. Well, in this book, Yuval Noah Harari described the history of a human being with perspective to the skills and the availability of information. That how from the Stone Age to the day we are talking, how information communication, formulation of the information, processing of the information, and utilization of the information, how it has evolved from Stone Age to the time when we are actually recording this video. So it's a story of that information history. He just told us in this book. I'll try to be as brief as possible, and I will just sharing with you the main crux of the main concepts he said. He said that humans have an ability to communicate with the other people and sharing the information with them since the Stone Age. But those methods were very, very primitive. Those methods were very basic. And we can rightly understand that why they were basic, because the need was also of communicating with other people on a basic matters, on a trivial matters, especially the matters related to the survival. So humans had to look after their survival, and in order to make sure their survival, they need a communication. And that was all. And this process of communication then had a quantum leap when languages are being evolved. And when languages are involved, then now humans they become more equipped in communicating. They have become more equipped in not only transferring the information to another person, but they also develop another ability, which is of generation of the information. They could actually generate the information. And here, Yuval Noah Harare used his famous hypothesis and his basics of his understanding that how humans are different from other creatures, although physically the other creatures may be stronger than human beings. Humans cannot fly like birds. Human cannot swim like fish. Human cannot hop like a like like a frog, and cannot creep and very swiftly creep like a snake, but and is not as strong as an elephant or a whale. But still, humans were able to rule this planet, and as and not on this planet, they are actually now trying to conquer even other planets other than this Earth. How they have been able to do it, according to Harare, the basic of it was ability of humans to generate the stories. And he called all philosophies, all informations, all myths, even religions, uh, I quote and unquote what he said, they are all stories. And humans have an ability to not only generate that story, but has to communicate it in such a way to convince others about the stories. And when he can convince others about the stories, then he is able to develop another story which is called vision. And on the basis of this vision, he can cooperate, and he can create a group of people which can cooperate with each other in large numbers and uh, in a very complex manner, in even if they are not physically together. So those groups which were able to generate stories, and these stories were able to uh, convince other people about the truthfulness and the importance of that story, they just grouped together and they created another utopia about it called vision, and then they can even sacrifice their life for that story. Now this has been the pattern in this word, according to Yuval Noah Harari. And he said that when the stories have been created, these stories help human beings, because a lot of good was generated from it, but it also have got a very, very important negative impact as well, because the story sometime join people for some better cause, but simultaneously, when these stories have got a hidden agenda behind it, and someone wants to get his own personal wrong uh, uh, personal wrong ambitions, or wants to fulfill the personal wrong ambitions, then he converted those stories into propaganda. And now these propaganda actually convince the people, and most of the people living in this world, they are simple people. They have got a tendency to believe about the stories. And those who can generate the stories, those who can narrate the stories, those who have got an art of emotionally blending the storytelling skills, they can actually convince the people, even if they are not logically moved and touched. And then they can be utilized in the form of a group, which, if you take it in a positive way, they become a kind of a collaboration for something good. But if you use it in a negative way, it becomes a cult, and that cult can be very, very destructive. Now this has been better, but now what has uh, this information, then Yuval Noah Harare described it in with beautiful examples. Now one of the example which he used was about a bird, a pigeon. And this is why the title of the book has got that pigeon on it. And that pigeon symbolizes a hero in Western war history. Because in the World War, one of the battalion of an army just went into enemy's land, and their own their own friends which were on the other side of the border, they thought that they are enemies. So the battalion, which incidentally shifted to across the border, they took a pigeon and they tied a message with it, and that pigeon flew back to their friends. And when they decoded that message, they understood that they are not supposed to fire on their friends because they are their friends. And now this pigeon is actually there on the title of this book, Nexus, because it is a symbol of information. The name of that pigeon was Char Emi. And if you write on Google Char Emi, it will tell you the whole story. And similarly, so you can see that one information properly conveyed saved hundreds of lives. Then Harare narrated another story. And that story, you can just Google it, Nili Spy, Nili, Nili Spy story. That is at the time of the Ottomans, where there was a small group of Jews which used to spy the Ottoman empires, and they used to send informations to the British emperors. Those information was actually captured and decoded, and then that small group of people living there were actually killed and destroyed by the Ottoman empires. So you can say one information actually was responsible of killing so many people. Now, on the basis of this, Yuval Noah Harari has got a hypothesis that two of the biggest stories of this world are actually responsible for most of the happening in this world and most of the behaviors of people individually and collectively in a society, and resulting into polarization or kind of a creating different strata in the whole society. And then because of the weaknesses in human psychology, those stratas, sometimes they join together, but most of the time they are against each other. And I'm just coding what he said, coding and uncoding it. He said that those two big stories are nationalism and religion. And on the basis of this, people have divided, and they had a consensus about a vision which is based on that story. And that story, and he didn't talk about it whether the story is right or that story is not wrong. Like a true historian, he has just described it and then has shown what wrong happened because of that and what are the right things which happened to that, so that in the end we can conclude that how we can utilize it. He did not condemn those stories. He just described it that this is one of the most important skill a human being have as a person and as a society, which is responsible for growth of this human race as compared to all of their fellow creatures in this planet. So he says that now I'm actually coming to the last part of this talk. Now he said that now the story generation and story propagation, with the help of social media, with the help of tools like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and other tools, has become so rapid and so extensive that now a story which used to reach to some of the people who have gotten access to newspapers or radio or a television now has got an access to everybody who has got a palm, because he has got a machine on the palm on which every story, every information can reach to everybody. Now, another critical, dangerous, alarming, or remarkable, I mean, whatever you want to just say it, happening is artificial intelligence. Now, humans used to create the stories, and the stories which humans created, or a group of humans created or evolved it, those stories must had one thing, that those stories are inflawable. There is no flaw in it, and they are perfect. That was the claim. Because about the nationalism, this is the claim. About the religions, this is the claim. Every religion thinks that it's inflawable. And that is based on this, the religious part of it, according to Yuval Noah Harari, that is based most of the time on religious scriptures and pious people, people who have got an authority in their field, and people used to get guidance from those references which are infallible books and people who are infallible. But Harare now describes, and in Hidden Words warns as well, that now the basis of the newly generating stories which are going to govern this world will be generated not by humans, by algorithms. And these algorithms will be handled by artificial intelligence. So we have already created a brain or an intelligence which is not human intelligence, but that has got the rich information of collective human intelligence of the centuries. In other words, we are individual brains, but now we have created another big brain, and this brain has got all which all other brains of 90,000 years of history of a human brains actually accumulated, inferred, collected, generated, discovered. That is all in that brain available, and that brain is artificial intelligence. And that artificial intelligence now will create stories. And at the moment, this artificial intelligence, like a tool, is in the hand of people. Now it depends upon the people who are handling it. And Yuval Noah Harari further said that people who have got this control, they can be good people. If they are good people, their intentions are correct, they have got motives larger than life. In other words, what I inferred is, who have got a strong spirituality can actually use this brain to making the people together, solving their problems, alleviating poverty, alleviating the health problems, and actually improving the quality of life in this planet. But if it is in the hand of wrong people, then this will create a havoc. It will just be a destruction, because those people who have got strong physicality and intellect but low spirituality, these people will be using it for their own purpose. And there are examples. In fact, in his book, he gave example of two people, Donald Trump, and he also mentioned some of other rulers as well. And he said that they realized it, and they use this information generation and information as a propaganda for their own betterment. And they have done it very successfully. Like he mentioned that the last election of USA, actually no one knows who won it, because Joe Biden won the election, but there is a strong understanding there that that there was a rigging in the election because of using of that information. And other thing he said, that when this information technology will be in the hand, it can, of those people who have got an authoritarian type of a government system, they will, and if they are not good people, they will actually start controlling the people. They will be just, it will interfere in the privacy of the people. It will interfere in their, autonomy. It will interfere in their self-beinghood. It will actually destroy that. But according to him, if it is in those people where their democratic values are very strong, then this spread of information will actually generate a dialogue. And this dialogue, it is possible, will improve the people and their well-being. But he is not sure. In fact, no one is sure that what is going to happen. Now, the last two things are even more tricky, and they are even more dangerous. And before that, I would like to say that although there is a possibility that this will come into a good people in the good hands, and it will change this planet, but our history says that it very rarely occurs. Usually people, they are not governed with a value system. their thought process, their psychology, their conduct is not governed on the basis of ethics, morality, because no one actually has ever defined ethics and morality. Rather, their ethics and morality is governed around the capturing of power and capturing of the resources, including the financial resources. Hence, there's a more chance that controlling this information thing will lead this planet to a destruction instead of a prosperity. Now, lastly, he said that because of that, in the history of the human history, whenever someone gets something and other one does not have that, usually there is a curtain between them, like an iron curtain which was there between the Eastern Europe and the Western Europe. Countries and nations, they divide and they become separate. There was a time when there was no borders, but when people have evolved these stories of nationalism, that actually has divided the people. After our ancestors, and not very far ancestors, did not require any passport to travel, but because of that strength in that story of nationalism, the borders were created. And now people's autonomy and their independence to travel and independence to explore all the resources there on the planet wherever they are has become limited, right? And that has resulted in a discrimination. But the last dangerous thing he said is that because of that, now there will be another curtain. This will divide the world into two: those who have a technology and those which don't have a technology. And he said the name of that curtain will be silicon curtain. Silicon actually exemplifies or shows us the technology because of the Silicon Valley. Now, because of this silicon curtain, the term which he has evolved, this word is going to divide. And this division will be very, very strong division. And those who are on this side of the curtain will be different from those who are on this side of the curtain. And most likely those who are on the hind side of the curtain, those who are not with the tech, they will be crushed. They will, according to his own terminology, not only that they will lose their jobs, they will not be even job able. So what is the conclusion? The conclusion is that we have to be very much aware about the speed of the technology which is rushing towards us. And the last thing which I have not yet mentioned, because I kept it for the last few sentences, is that up till now this artificial intelligence is being orchestrated by the people, and their own whims and likings are transferred. They use it as a tool to propagate it. But a time is not very far when this brain, which is artificial intelligence, will become autonomous. And it will not be under the control of a person. A person who wants to control it will actually be controlled by artificial intelligence. So the president of the World Bank will be asking artificial intelligence, what should I do? Right? President of a country will be asking artificial intelligence that how he should develop his financial program, his educational thing. And individuals will also, if you trickle it down, individual will be asking from artificial intelligence, to whom should I marry? Where should I send my children for their career? Where should I live? What should I eat? What should I not eat? In other words, this artificial intelligence has got a potential to really become the ruler of us individually, as a group, as a society, and as a global emperor. What will happen after that? No one knows. It's anybody's guess. So this is all about this book. Obviously, this is a small part of it, which I have just explained to you. There are many things which I may have missed in describing you. Like one thing which I missed and suddenly remember is that when it is in good hands, it can create a surveillance system. So your hospital can have monitors And these, if you employ an intern, a medical officer, that medical officer may sleep sometime. The medical officer may have lack of judgment sometimes. The medical officer may have his personal biases as well. He may have some lacuna in their knowledge and experience. But when you are being monitored by tech, artificial intelligence, a hospital, there are more chances that a patient, when he has got any critical problem, it will be detected very early. So is the case of detecting people all over the world if it is in good hand. But if it becomes in the wrong hand, then you can have a government which is completely controlling the human beings and making them like slaves. He gave an example, again, I'm quote unquote. He said, like the great firewall of China, which actually, and in their opinion, they are doing a very good thing. And as you know, in China, based on that great firewall on the social media and the social handling of the individuals, they have a reward system, which is called social reward system. So Chinese government knows whether you are a kind person with old people and children or not, because they have got such a strong spying system that they know it. The Chinese government knows that whether you are throwing your litter regularly on the streets or dustbins. And on the basis of that, you can be rewarded and you can be punished. Now, if this thing is in a good hand, this can actually change the society. But if this is in somebody's hand who is vindictive, who has got his own personal motives, then really we don't know what is going to happen. So, my dear brothers and sisters, what is the lesson? And what is the lesson for me? What I have learned? Although I got scared after reading this book, honestly speaking, for few days, even if I'm just dining, even if I'm doing my own household, I'm continuously thinking about it and trying to foresee it, what is going to happen and how it is going to impact me. This is very alarming. So I think the first take-home message is that we should be aware of it. This is now going to come not only in your country, it is going to come in your bedrooms and the other rooms of your home as well, right? Which may be your dining room, which may be your sitting room, and which may be other rooms which are so private for you. It is going to enter there. Now, how you are going to prepare it for that, that is up to you. I don't think that you should go into AI if you are a doctor. You go to AI if you are a shopkeeper. You go into AI if you're a housewife. But try to bring AI into your doctorhood. Try to bring AI in your motherhood. And try to learn it. Sometime you have to learn it to be safe from it. But you learn it to get maximum benefit out of it. So this is a kind of a summary of that book. I confess and I admit that there are many things which I must have missed it. So that those things which I've missed should be a kind of an invitation to you to please do this book, do read this book. Not only this book, please read books. Reading books is very important. Thank you very much for bearing and listening to this long video. I hope that inshallah this will add some value in our thought process. Thank you very much.